Of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up is public to be heard. And we do have a gentleman to be heard tonight. Mr. Mike Larson is joining us. I'll let Mr. Larson say his topics. Just a reminder, Mr. Larson, you have 3 minutes, sir?
Yeah.
All right.
I wanted to do this earlier. When you came out of executive session in July, I mean, you looked defeated. You looked drained. I mean, it was, and I wanted to give you some encouragement out that. And, it probably stressed the year. I don't know if you know it, but Principal Nataro lost her father last year. And what happened was, she was trying to get Robert Morris and Jackson ready, and her father was in and out of the hospital constantly. So for her, it was a very stressful year. Probably for you folks, the same thing. And let's see. One thing that Maureen has told, I was her father's best friend. One thing that Maureen has told me a number of times is how much poverty Batavia has. And, that people don't realize. And really, this institution is the, really the promise of America. In here, I mean, you're not going to find it out there. It's going to be in here. A poor child versus a rich child comes here, they have equal opportunity. And let's see. This is my college calculus book. It's written by George Thomas. It's had 15 editions. It's been in print for more than 71 years. Okay. George Thomas grew up in a tent, a canvas tent with a wooden floor, with a coal stove. This is the story of Paul Farmer. Paul Farmer grew up on a 55-foot boat with no running water, 6 children. His mother worked at Winn-Dixie. His father was a school teacher. They bathed in brackish water in Louisiana. And, that doesn't happen except where you have public education. It just doesn't, you won't find this in Brazil, you won't find this, you won't find this in China, you won't find this in India. So, okay, this is a picture of from the Jackson School Easter Bunny breakfast. And now, one girl in this picture, her mother has died from drug use. Her father's in prison. There's another girl in the picture who has a mother that's in deep depression, and her father's in prison. So, now, when you look at it, your future here, what future is there for these 2 girls if it wasn't for public education? And I understand, you may feel like you're spinning the wheels, but you're really not. And this is really their gateway out of, poverty that they're in. And what can I talk about? Some accomplishments. This institution has brought medical care to orphanages and villages in Swaziland, Africa. It has brought medicine to East Buffalo. It's brought medicine to Casa House.
So,
medicine to
Mr. Larson, if you don't mind me interrupting you real quick before your time's out, you put a couple topics of concern on here, which were more towards your books, alumni, and whatnot. Did you want to speak on those before your time's out?
Just the only thing I know is about my alumni is, my children went to Batavia High. I attended Haddonfield High. Enfield, New Jersey, you will never compete. The average home price is $700,000. And then for $700,000, you get an average home. You'll never compete with that. I had an excellent education. That's because they have the kind of money to do that. Okay. So, but anyway, my daughter Colleen is a nurse. She spent 2 years in Africa. Okay. If you go, both my son-in-laws work at the hospital. These are the accomplishments. All my children still live in Batavia. I hope that's an encouraging word. That's what, and let's see. My official residence is 548 East Main Street, but as Mr. Roll will tell you, I spend a lot more time at my vacation house over by the middle school. I wish it was in Arizona, but I can't afford it. So, anyway, that's what. But keep up the good work, because really, you don't see what's going on. It really is a good institution.
Thank you.
Thank you
Mr.
so
Larson.
much.
Appreciate it. All right, next up would be me with the good news. And we've got a lot of it for the whole summer. I'll take something from the high school. Elena Veltz, the high school is looking so clean and smells so fresh. My room is spotless. Thank you, Carlos, and all the custodial staff for your hard work this summer. It shows. From the middle school, Amy Gray. Mrs. Gray's class successfully served their family and friends a picnic barbecue at Austin Park last Friday, which was 6-9. Everyone had a great time and ate some great food. Great job, Mrs. Gray's class. From John Kennedy, Heather McCarthy, JK's extended year program was a great success. We had over 130 students register and an incredible staff. Each week we had a special guest or presentation and included weekly raffles for perfect attendance. We had a good time while increasing students' academic and social emotional skills. Great work to everyone involved. From Robert Morris, from Jessica Torrey, thank you to the extended year staff at both Jackson and Robert Morris for planning great programs for our students over the summer. We appreciate all your hard work and dedication to our students. From the district office, Brittany Whitcott, thank you to the custodial staff at Robert Morris for your help this summer in setting up the multi-purpose room and assisting with the cleanup of our file room. Your help is greatly appreciated. And then from the educational technology and nutritional services, Susan Pressure. We had an amazing team that provided delicious summer meals for Batavia students at multiple locations this summer. This commitment our employees have for this program is amazing. I am grateful for the opportunity to serve our community and provide our students with access to healthy meals during the summer. And trust me, there's plenty more good news on here, so please, if you have the opportunity, get on our page and take a look at it. Next up, we have some Batavia Central School diplomas that need to be given out.
So I'm going to Mr. Cezak and Mr. Kessler being the MC here.
Do you want to join me up front?
Sure. Can you just take the video or something?
All right, we have two students that are coming in. We have Cole Brady and Gabby Brown. Where they come?
Gabby! Gabby! Gabby!
All right, so I'm excited to be invited back to give diplomas to two of our students. These students have completed their requirements to get their Regents diploma. Both of them are graduating early, so they wanted to start their next step in their life. And so both of them are entering the workforce right now, and both of them are thinking about what their future college plans might look like. I had a fun time a few minutes ago reminiscing with them, remembering all the way back to kindergarten, and just all the years that we've spent together. And as I've shared before, not every graduate takes the exact same path as another one, but the importance is sticking with it and making sure that you do take that path to graduation. So Gabby and Brady, I'm really proud of you and the work that you've done. And so I get the privilege of giving you your diploma. So what we're going to do is I'm going to call your name, all right? When I call your name, actually I'll let Mr. Smith give you the diploma. When I call your name, you're going to shake my hand, and then you're going to shake the superintendent's hand, Mr. Smith, okay? All right, so we'll start with Cole Brady. Stay up here. All right, and Gabby Brown. By the authority vested in me by the State of New York and New York State Board of Regents to the Batavia City School District Board of Education, I officially confer upon you your high school diploma. You may now change your tassel from right to left.
Well done.
All right, congratulations.
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 Congratulations. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Can I get you?
I do, as they're walking out, want to thank Mr. Cezak. He worked with both students on their plans this summer, kept track of it and everything. So, special thanks to Mr. Cezak as well.
If you guys want to stay, you can, or if you want to leave with your graduates, you can.
That'd be fine. Feel free to head out, yeah. Congratulations. You're welcome.
Yeah, right. I can't get her flowers. I can't.
All right, next up is a public hearing to review Smart Schools Bond Act. Presenting will be Mr. Brian Sutton.
I thought that more would stay for this, but.
Brian, you got a tough act to follow. Good luck now with that.
I know, I
Yeah,
understand.
come
I
on.
understand. So the Smart Schools Bond Act, this is, basically what I'm presenting to you is going to be up for discussion and board approval on the remaining funds of this. So the Smart Schools Bond Act was approved in 2014 by New York State, and it authorized issuance of $2 billion of general obligation bonds to finance improved educational technology and infrastructure to improve learning and opportunities for all students. The act requires that each state or each Smart Schools investment plan goes to the state, is reviewed and approved by the board prior to a district bidding, contracting, or expending the funds. And there's a penalty for not doing so. So this is just for the remaining funds that we have left. Breakdown of what was spent already. So we originally received just shy of $2 million. We put that money down towards many security features. So it was door holders, it was cameras, it was motion detectors, new electronic strikes. So in layman's terms, a lot of what happens when we push a fire alarm and all the doors closed and latched securely, when we go into a lockdown, having the building secured, it's a lot of that, as well as new camera systems, which obviously are greatly beneficial for staff and students. There's a breakdown of the funds, very evenly distributed between all the buildings. So the remaining funds, we have just shy of $200,000 remaining, and with that, that will go towards, with approval, more heavy-duty closers, magnets, and then unfortunately, but understandably, have to pay fees towards campus construction and the architects. for the designs of them. These are added onto doors so that in the event of emergencies, like I said, they automatically close and lock. We already have these throughout the district. This is the remaining areas. So what happened was, after the initial installs, Chad Bliss and Ken Lavis from our Buildings and Grounds toured all of the buildings and basically sought out where do we still need all of these things and then prioritize them. So with the just shy of $200,000, that is where the door locks and the closers will go to the top priority spots remaining in the buildings. The focus on always safety and security throughout our buildings, and this will just continue to get us into a better place with our buildings and with the safety features that we have. So the timeline, pending board approval this evening, would be open for a 30-day public comment, which can be found on our website. So public comment can go on our website or write in and review this and give open comment for that. And that is reviewed by the superintendent and by the board, and the final vote would come on October 16th because that is the next meeting that comes after the 30 days would be up. So again, this timeline is based upon approval tonight by the board. And that is that.
So the only thing I would add, nice job, Brian, just for the board. I don't know, is it this plan made it on the agenda for tonight? If it didn't, that's fine. As Brian said, there has to be 2 board approvals. So there'll either be one, I don't think it's on the agenda tonight. That's fine, that's fine. So we'll have it approved next month. Then we'll have the public comment period. And then if we receive comments or not, it'll come before the board again in October for a final reading. And then we submit it to the state, and then we wait and wait and wait and wait. But that's how it
The only place
works.
that it's going to be found is on the website, or is there going to be an actual news press release?
We have to put it on the website. I mean, we can mention it possibly a press release, but
Because not everyone checks in.
our obligation is to post it on the
I
website.
see, okay.
So,
Any other questions or anything for Mr. Sutton? Anybody?
so we'll have this on the agenda for you in September for you to approve, and then we'll get it on the agenda. You'll see the actual plan itself. It's much more technical than what Brian explained here. The technical plan will be on the agenda for September. We'll have the initial approval, document that, public comment period, and the second approval. So, good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're, need a motion to close the public hearing.
So,
Ms. Ledbetter, can I have a second?
second.
Ms. Bowman?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
All right, public hearing is closed. All right, next up, we have a presentation from the city of Batavia.
So just for context, before Brett starts, Brett Franks works for he's the director of public works. Of course, the school district and the city have a great relationship. They're engaging in a project that's going to affect all the residents of our city. But in talking with Brett, there's also a way to have our students learn from it as well. So I'm happy to have Brett here, one of his colleagues, to talk to us about this process. So, is it up on the screen, Brittany?
Yep.
Okay, Brett, go ahead, thanks.
Steven, you ready?
Sure.
Come on up. Okay. I'll run the clicker. I'll run the clicker. So as Mr. Smith said, who was my high school principal, I am...
Thanks, Brett, for dating me. That's not part of the presentation.
Exactly. I'm the Director of Public Works, and with me is Stephen Wadvogel from our engineering firm, GHD. Basically, today we're going to give a little presentation on the lead and copper roll and how the city of Batavia and the Batavia City School District can collaborate and help us get through this.
Kicking it over to me.
Kicking it over to you. My job is to make sure Stephen doesn't get too technical, too.
Okay.
So we'll keep it brief.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's really nice to be here with you. I've got to know Brett and some of his colleagues pretty well over the last couple of years. Many of you may have heard that the EPA last year passed some new regulations around lead and copper. This is in response to some of the challenges that some communities across America have faced in recent years. And one of the primary requirements of this new lead and copper rule is to develop a comprehensive service line inventory. And what that means is Batavia Water needs to identify the material of the line, the pipe, that's buried underground that runs from the street to the home, okay? And I have the next slide actually shows a picture of that. So the Division of Water owns the pipes in the ground, and they have a water plant. They produce high-quality drinking water that's pumped out into the city. It's distributed down every street on the pipes, and then moves from the pipes into the homes through what we call a service line. That's this line there. On the left there is the water main in the street, and then obviously the home here on the right. The materials of those pipes, the service lines, unfortunately, were often constructed out of lead. In fact, many, many years ago, lead was the preferred material due to its malleability and its longevity, and it wasn't until 1986 that it was outlawed at a federal level. And so older cities like the city of Batavia unfortunately have the legacy that lead is still in the ground. Now, the Division of Water produces very high quality water that has no lead in it when it gets into the system. However, as water travels into the homes, if it travels through a lead pipe, depending on conditions, lead can dissolve or corrode into the water, and there can be exposure to lead, which is very harmful, particularly for children. And I'm sure many of you are aware of that. So the EPA, like all of us, is very concerned about this and has laid out a plan for all of America to address this issue, and the first step is to develop an inventory. So the city needs to determine the material of every buried service line throughout the whole city. Okay, so that's what's on their plate right now, and they need to do that by October of next year. Okay, because many of the homes were constructed decades, maybe even 100 years ago, those records don't exist. And so Batavia Water is challenged with a really difficult problem of how do we determine what the service lines are comprised of. Now, over the years, many homes have replaced their service line. They, over time they can get brittle, they can start leaking, and so homeowners replace their part, or the city replaces their part. And so not every line in the ground is of concern. And in fact, most of the lines in the city are not lead, okay? And in fact, Batavia Water does sampling on a regular basis as required by the EPA, and the results of the sampling show that Batavia has very high quality water. So Batavia doesn't necessarily have a lead problem because they control the lead through corrosion control, and they do regular sampling, and it shows high quality water. However, there are pipes that are in the ground that still have lead, and they're now required to identify them. Okay, so that's the background.
And if you can see that inventory that we have, you see a whole lot of gray there. Gray means unknown. So we literally have very, very small inventory of what's actually in the city of Batavia.
So,
again, that's just another slide showing what's lead, what's galvanized steel, or what's non-lead, which is going to be copper or PVC. So basically, we're tasked with trying to find out what that service line is going into the home, and the city of Batavia would include, or Batavia City Schools would include City of Batavia, Town of Batavia, Stafford, and all those municipalities also have to collect that data. So we're kind of looking to bridge that gap of inventory that we have using Batavia City Schools and its students, possibly by doing a presentation in like a participation in government class, which I spoke with Mr. Smith about, whether it's a take-home project where they go home and actually inspect the line that's in their home, whether, because if it's lead, we could give them markers to put a swab on it. Basically, it would indicate it's lead by turning red. If it's galvanized, we just put a magnet on it, it'll stick to it. It wouldn't stick to copper, and then you would see it's PVC. We could potentially take a picture, that type of thing, but it's also, we thought it would be a good way to involve students in real-life government situations that affect their health. But at the same time, it's also going to help the city of Batavia, get the inventory that we need in order to move forward with these new federal guidelines.
So I can, like Brett said, I can talk a lot, and this is my area, so
Yeah.
I don't want to take your time too much. Really, Batavia Water Department has a regulatory obligation now that is posing a real difficult challenge, okay? They have tried to solve this, but yet there are still thousands of unknown material service lines. So as Brett said, we'd like to explore the opportunity to work with the high school or the participation in government class to set up a project where the students could learn about water quality, they could learn about lead, but one of the activities would be to help identify the material of the service line that enters where they live, okay? Now, we know some students may not actually live in the city boundaries, but the neighboring communities have to do the same thing, okay? So there are tests, like Brett said, you can swab it, you can use a magnet, you can scratch it. There are all kinds of ways that you can identify it. And if we can engage the students, they can learn about water quality, they can learn about how the water is delivered, and they can also return some valuable information back to the city, which in the long run will make their water safer. So that's, you know, there's lots of other things we can talk about. We can take questions, but that's the short of it, is we'd like to work with you in the next semester or two. The city needs to complete this inventory by October of next year. So, you know, maybe the fall is too late probably, but the spring semester or something like that, we'd like to get the students involved to cover as many homes as possible. So that's an idea. And we can tailor it to suit the district. We can give presentations, we can do field tours, or what have you. So, questions, thoughts?
Are you at all concerned about the accuracy that you'll get from a high school student?
Yes, of course.
But in reality, I mean, yes and no, because, I mean, if they use a magnet, that's a pretty clear indication that that's, you know,
If they know what
galvanized.
pipe they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. But we could also have them take a picture too, you know, along with doing some sort of test as whether, you know, it's a swab, whether it's using a magnet. If they take a picture, we can easily tell, you know, if that's the right pipe that they're looking at and that type of thing.
Because I can say, even as an adult, if you
yeah.
sent me in my basement to find this pipe, I wouldn't have a clue what I was.
Well, and that's what we do in that participation. in
That's the whole
government.
education
Yeah.
part.
I'm being very honest. I would have not a
And
clue.
and we can have picture diagrams kind of show you what it looks like, show you where your water meter is, where that pipe that we're looking for, what that is, and that, so.
Go to this website.
Yep.
We can give you videos, we can give the students lots of instructions. If you look at NPR, they have a lead pipe finder, shows you pictures, asks you simple questions. You're 100% correct. Not every piece of data will be accurate, but I'm confident that it'll be 98, 99%.
This also might be a good project. I'm not thinking which science which science area this might align to, perhaps chemistry or physics.
Yeah.
You know, probably chemistry. But we could also talk with the chemistry students too.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? It's probably not a very good question, but I'm not really good at this stuff. Are all service lines in the basement? Because like, my grandchildren live in apartments where they have no access to a basement.
Yeah, they're gonna be in the basement.
So, in an apartment complex, for example, then where would the service lines be?
This can depend on the apartment complex, like if it's, whether it's Birchwood, Walden Estates, they're always gonna have facilities.
Kind of on the terrace, actually,
Yeah.
for the kids.
Exactly, so what they would do, they've all gonna have like a facilities manager who
To go to
would
the
basically
manager.
reach out to, yeah, correct.
Yeah, the lines come in underground because here it gets very cold, and they need to be 4.5 feet deep so they don't freeze.
That makes sense.
So they typically enter through the basement wall.
I've just never thought of this before, so thank you for your patience.
So is the city obligated to also check the water main, the main water mains that come to the homes?
Yep, that's the whole point. We're looking at the private side as well as the public side connection for that. So basically, if you've got lead on the public side and downstream of that going into that home, it's galvanized, that's basically all considered lead. So, yes, yeah, both of those are being looked at.
I think her question was about your pipes, I think.
But yeah,
So the city doesn't
City's-
have any lead.
you're talking the actual
Yeah, the actual
mains.
water main.
Water
No,
mains,
those mains
they're
wouldn't be
not.
lead, but the connections coming off of those mains potentially could be.
Okay.
Yes.
What if you don't hit your number, like, by that date, next October, what would?
We're gonna hit that number. If we have to literally take somebody and have them go door to door, we will get that number. But, and actually Stephen's company is working on predictive modeling, so if we can get to a certain number, let's call it 1,000 out of, 6,500 homes, we can utilize this predictive modeling to kind of give us an idea of what surrounds that, as to whether it's gonna be copper, PVC, galvanized. So, and that right now is an accepted method as well for that.
In your picture, you have water meter not common.
Yeah, so I didn't take the time to, is there a pointer on here?
No, I don't.
No, okay, so this is a typical water service line. The main on the left, the curb box here, or this is normally a valve in the middle of the line at the right of way, okay? The public utility, Batavia Water, owns the service from here to the main. The homeowner owns the service from the curb box or from the right of way into the home, okay? The inventory needs to identify both sides of that. So we need to find the material of both sides. Often, the customer side is galvanized, okay? That's probably the most common material. On the city side, it's been both lead, galvanized, and then every time they do a water line project, they put in copper or something else. So they've been replacing that. This diagram is from the EPA, I believe, and it's to show kind of a typical service line across America. These meters that are over here are in warm weather climates because they can be outside the home. Like in Florida, the line is only a couple feet deep, and so there's a meter box. So the meter is outside. It makes it easier for the utility to service the meter. Where we live, it's way too cold. All the meters are in the basement. Okay, so that's why I said non-common. It's not common around here. There are some applications for big buildings where the meter might be outside, but it's not common.
So the purpose of this is to get all of us that have lead pipes to have them replaced at some point? That's what we're headed to?
Yes, it's very complicated because it's very expensive.
Yes.
Right, and if there are thousands of them, that could be millions of dollars.
Yeah, right.
What I want to assure you, though, is that the EPA also mandates that Batavia Water treat their water to a certain level against various metrics. And one of the things they do is they use a corrosion inhibitor, okay? They use orthophosphate, which is a phosphate-based inhibitor that creates a physical barrier, a scale, on the inside of the pipe so that the water doesn't come in contact with the lead, okay? So that they use that, they've been using it for almost 40 years now, okay? So all of the pipes, even if they're lead, are currently protected by a physical scale that's built up on the pipe on the inside so that the water-lead interface is blocked. So there's very little corrosion going on, okay? So they use that chemical. However, they also have to take mandatory samples. They have to come in the homes and take tap samples. And their tap samples have showed very, very low levels, less than 1/3 of what the EPA would allow. So they're way down below any level. If anybody has any concern about it, just let your water run for 30 seconds and you won't have any lead. The only way lead actually is in the water is if the water sits stagnant in the pipe for a long time, there's a bit of dissolving or corroding, and then you drink that water. If you just let your tap water run for 30 seconds, it's all flushed out, there's no lead in it.
And we're assuming that the phosphate thing isn't hurting us either.
No, that's a common nutrient.
Okay.
And that's been studied for 100 years now. Yeah. I might be saying too much, but sorry.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
All good? All right, thanks, gentlemen.
We can follow up in the fall, with the principal and our teachers and see what the next steps could be.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Do we get to scoop too, or is that just for the graduate families?
It's up to you. I can't tell you to stay. I can't force you to go. You're welcome to leave if you want.
Okay.
Of
Thanks.
course.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Good seeing you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you later, guys. Take care.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up is the superintendent's report. Mr. Smith.
Okay, so I want to begin with, have some show and tell. We are in the process of nearing completion of our window hardening project. We talked about this at a recent meeting in the spring. All but one school is done, and that will be done by next week. We have Robert Morris is left. That will be done next week. So I brought some pictures to show both the before and after. So all the windows in this campus, for example, are now hardened. With that, we're not allowed to post anything up on the windows anymore because it will decay what we're trying to accomplish. So, for our teachers of the younger kids, if they'd like to hang anything on the windows, they have been instructed, they will be instructed not hang anything up there. I do have two pictures to show you. They're both some before and after pictures of the project. John and John were involved in those decisions early on, so we're able to use some funds from previous projects to harden our windows as another safety upgrade for our school staff and students. Any questions on those? Happy to talk about that now openly. We had new teacher orientation began this week. We had about 20 new teachers gathered around Morris. We're going to welcome all of our staff back on Thursday. We're going to welcome all our new staff back on Thursday. The new teacher orientation continues all this week. Of course, fall practice started last week. It's happened this week as well, so looking forward to the fall athletics season. Next Tuesday, one of my three most favorite days of the year as a superintendent. One of those days is graduation. The second day is the new teacher orientation. And the third day is when the staff returns. So looking forward to greeting our staff next Tuesday. Of course, I hope this is old news by now, but just in case anybody out there is not aware, all of our school supplies this year for all of our students in grades pre-K through 12 will be furnished by the district through a grant that Dr. Corey was able to have for us, and that's been very well received. We're still getting questions on that every now and then, so if anybody's listening out there in the Facebook world, we are giving all the supplies this year will be offered and given to our students by the district. The athletic director interview process is happening this week. We hope to have a finalist for you at the next board meeting. Currently, we have Tim Slade is going to be our acting athletic director for the month of September. Tim comes to us with experience as the executive director of Section 6. We hosted a scrimmage between Utica and Allegheny Colleges Friday afternoon. He was there along with Mr. Bromley, Tim Slade, and Brennan Briggs, of course, will be assuming the position, part-time position as athletic assistant. Both Brennan and Tim will be visible to our students and families in the fall. Some very good news, thank you to Scott and his efforts. For the first time in quite some time, pre-COVID, we're going to have dedicated busing for our middle school students and dedicated busing for our high school students. So there'll be no mixing. That'll improve the transportation time and make for an easier management situation here at the school. So I want to thank Scott and our team for pushing hard on that. Parent Square has been launched successfully. I've been using it myself as a parent. I got my daughter's high school scheduled this morning. The response to that has been very positive. I want to thank Emily Benedict, our office staff, Dr. Corey, Brian Sutton, Tricia Finnegan. We all worked as a team to get that going. The feedback has been positive. It's been well received, so thank you to the team on that. Reminder to the board that on September 13th, we have our retreat at 5 o'clock with Teresa Lawrence. We'll have a number of goals to accomplish at the retreat. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, the first day of school for our students is next Wednesday. So looking forward to welcome all of our students back. Is that fine?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So all of our students come back. Just was corrected on that. All of our students come back next Wednesday, pre-K through 12, at the high school, at the whole school. I think our high school, I work at the high school, but we have dedicated busing for all of our kids. The first day of school for all kids is next Wednesday. So I hope to see our board at the opening day celebration for our staff on Tuesday. Any questions? Okay, thank you. All right, so we're with our district clerk here, so Trish and I are going to do our best to improvise, so please be patient with this. Go ahead, John.
All right. Next up is a motion to approve the grouping of consensus items.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Anderson.
So who was the
John was the first.
John and Anderson, okay.
I'm sorry, I'll do the roll call.
You don't have to do a roll.
You don't have to do a roll call?
Just say all in favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor?
Opposed?
Thank you.
All right. So now,
I'm doing an internship as a district clerk right now.
so now we're on to, where are we now, Jeff? Old business, right?
We got old business?
Yeah.
And then I'm getting
So
there.
these are the, letter M.
Okay. You want to say it? No.
He'll say it.
Okay.
Yeah, letter M, old business. Okay. Approve the coordination matrix and resolution of the Batavia City School District 2023 capital project. Are there any questions?
Scott, any comment on that?
No, it's just really defining the responsibilities of the architect and also the construction manager if the project does move forward. So that's about it.
All right. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Regal, can I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Lenday?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, second, approve the unemployment insurance transfer correction, 2 resolutions. Are there any questions on that at all? I see none. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Lenday, can I have a second? Mr. Roll?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
All right, we're on to new business, which just does not need a motion, but I'm going to read it. First reading of the Batavia City School District Policy Manual, reviewed and revised by Erie One BOCES Policy Service Division. Says I don't need a motion for this. The second reading and board approval will be on September 18th, 2023. So next up would be the 2023 NISBA Annual Business Meeting Delegate for Batavia City School District, which would be Corinne Anderson. Are there any questions on that? All right, could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mr. Regal, and a second.
Second.
Ms. Benedict?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Raise your hand,
And number 3, resolution and contingency free agreement to participate in a social media lawsuit, mass tort lawsuit, represented by Ferrara Fiorenzo PC. Any questions?
Just to clarify, it's a fee agreement, so we're working with our attorneys on this. If we decide to partner with this, similar to what we did with the Jewel lawsuit, it's a collective lawsuit on the dangers of social media, include some information for the board and for the public on that. I think we should pursue it and see what comes of it.
Any other questions? Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Benedict, could I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Regal?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Or any opposed?
All right, next up is other reports, and that would be reports that Dr. Corey, Mrs. Finnegan, and Mr. Rosansky have. I mean, they're on there so everybody can take a look at them. Do any board members have any comments or anything they would like to share with us here or with the public?
About these reports?
Oh, no, about anything. right
Oh,
now.
well, I do. I was absent at the last meeting, unfortunately, and I had been to the Leadership in Education NISBA presented on July 27th through the 29th in Albany. From being a board member for numerous years, this is probably my 3rd or 4th kinds of conference that I went to, but this was so different in that it really involved mostly school board members. Lots of time, there's an abundance of administrators but this time it was mostly school board members, which I found was very interesting. After I came back from it and thought to myself, I'm going to have to give a presentation or talk about at the board meeting. I wrote all my notes down, and there's 5 pages, and I'm sure you don't want to hear them all. So I will just say that it was probably one of the most interesting conferences I've ever been to, because I found out that 99% of the school districts are going through exactly what we go through with all of the things that have transpired through the pandemic. And that's mainly what the whole gist was of the conference, was to tell us all that there are multiple ways in which students have separated themselves from school work, and what teachers can do, what administrators can do. And it was, they gave a positive spin on it, which is something that I expected them to. And none of the information that I received through the sessions that I went to was surprising. I will tell you the one very, very interesting session that I went to was on artificial intelligence. And I think most of the board members that attended that thought that the presenter was going to tell us what it was, and he didn't. He assumed we all knew, and then he told us about how we should change policy and accept certain parts of AI and how our students are going to use it in their classrooms unless we have policy. And I went to there were 6 different sessions that I went to, and like I said, they were all very connected as to mental health for students, what we should do education-wise, what we should do staff-wise, and discipline-wise. So the only other thing that I want to tell you is that after this being my 3rd or 4th conference that I've been to, every single time I come home, I say to my husband, I am so glad I belong to the Batavia City School District, because board members got up and talked about their school districts and all of the issues that they're having. And I'm not saying that we don't have some of those issues ourselves, certainly not to the degree that they talk about. And I'm just always thrilled to say, oh, we're doing that, oh, we're doing that, oh, we're in a good place. And so I always feel super confident when I come back, thinking, man, I'm glad I'm not in the Hempstead district or whatever. And so I find if any board members ever thinking about going to a conference, really take the opportunity to do it, because I'm hoping you'll come back as excited and thrilled that I belong to this district as I do. So, and if anyone's interested in hearing about the other sessions I went to, I'd be glad to. Like I said, I have a 5-page report, but I don't think you want me to read that. So just go on from there.
Thank you very much, Kelsey.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
you. I just have one thing. I don't know if anybody saw over the weekend, it wasn't the Batavia Daily News, but just a little shout out to Casper Stewart, one of our star wrestlers here at Batavia. Is going to be attending West Point and continuing his wrestling career there. So
Great.
Congratulations to him and the Stewart family for that. So looking forward to bringing home a state championship this year.
Great.
Anybody have anything else? Oh, one other thing. Your son will be starting sprint football at West Point. When's his first game coming up?
23rd. Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck to Dick.
I'm excited for Casper, so we can have potential carpool.
There you go.
They're like, Batavia, yes. It's a long drive out there.
Yeah. Okay, if that would be it, we're going to be going into an executive session. Call for executive session is a motion to move to executive session to discuss matters related to the medical, financial, credit, or employment history, or a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Ms. Lundberg, could I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Benedict.
Got it. Oh,
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. All opposed?
And we will not be returning to